Today we're diving into the fascinating world of fictional characters who make us laugh, cry, and occasionally question our own sanity. Ever wondered why you relate so deeply to Tony Stark but can't stand Jar Jar Binks? Or why you find yourself quoting Hermione Granger in business meetings? Well, grab your popcorn and personality badges. We're about to psychoanalyze Hollywood's finest. 1. INTJ, the Mastermind. The INTJ, Hollywood's favourite villain and occasional anti-hero. These characters are playing 4D chess, while everyone else is still learning tic-tac-toe. Take Hannibal Lecter from The Silence of the Lambs, who plans elaborate escapes between gourmet meals featuring questionable ingredients. Having an old friend for dinner takes on a whole new meaning when an INTJ says it. Then there's Bruce Wayne Batman from the Dark Knight trilogy, whose response to childhood trauma wasn't therapy but rather, let me dress as a bat and punch criminals. INTJs don't need superpowers, they just need a cave, billions of dollars, and a butler who doesn't ask too many questions. Their idea of small talk is explaining their 27-step plan for world domination. Step 1 rarely involves asking how your day was. 2. ENTJ, the Commander. ENTJs are the characters who walk into a room and somehow leave as the CEO. Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada doesn't ask questions. She makes statements that make you question your entire existence, including your choice of cerulean blue sweater. Florals? For spring? Groundbreaking. We're still recovering from that burn 15 years later. Then there's Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones, who runs his family like a Fortune 500 company with slightly more beheadings than your average quarterly review. ENTJs don't have time for your feelings. They have empires to build and incompetent subordinates to terrify. Their idea of a pep talk involves telling you exactly how you've disappointed them, with bonus points if they can do it while skinning a deer or signing execution orders. 3. ENTP, the Debater. ENTPs in film are those characters who could talk their way out of a maximum security prison using nothing but a paperclip and their wit. Tony Stark from the Iron Man and Avengers films doesn't just build suits. He verbally dismantles his opponents before physically doing so. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist isn't just a description, it's a tactical nuclear strike disguised as a self-introduction. The Joker from The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's version, is the ENTP who took Debate Club way too seriously. Why so serious? Isn't just a catchphrase, it's an entire philosophical position statement. ENTPs don't just win arguments, they make you question which side you were on in the first place. Their superpower? Making terrible ideas sound not just reasonable, but inevitable. Let's blow up a hospital somehow becomes, well, when you put it that way. 4. INTP, the Logician. INTPs in movies are those characters who could explain quantum physics during an alien invasion and be genuinely annoyed when people focus on the aliens instead. Neo from The Matrix needed approximately 7 seconds to process "there is no spoon" before breaking the entire simulation. That's an INTP for you, questioning reality before breakfast. Dr. Stephen Strange from Doctor Strange and other Marvel films went from "this is mystical nonsense" to "I've mastered the mystic arts" faster than most people learn to use a new coffee maker. INTPs don't believe in impossible, just improbable, and haven't figured it out yet. Their idea of a good time? Creating a multiverse theory while everyone else is trying to save the current universe. Have you considered that this dimension might be the problem? I've calculated 14 alternative realities where this isn't happening at all. 5. INFJ, the Counselor. INFJs in film are the characters you want to hug but also slightly fear because they can see your soul. Galadriel from the Lord of the Rings trilogy welcomes you to her forest with cryptic warnings and intense eye contact that suggests she's reading your browser history across time and space. All shall love me and despair is basically an INFJ's dating profile. Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird fights for justice while wearing a 3-piece suit in Alabama summer heat. Because principals don't get days off, and neither does impeccable tailoring. INFJs don't just have moral compasses, they are the moral compass everyone else is trying to calibrate to. Their famous last words in any horror movie would be, I sense something's wrong approximately 20 minutes before anyone else notices the zombie apocalypse. 6. ENFJ, the protagonist. ENFJs are those film characters who give inspiring speeches so powerful they could motivate a rock to climb Mount Everest. Professor Charles Xavier from the X-Men films doesn't just read minds, he believes in them when they don't believe in themselves. The greatest power is believing in yourself sounds cheesy until an ENFJ says it while dramatically looking into the distance. Morpheus from The Matrix could sell you a mystery pill with side effects including your entire reality will collapse and make it sound like the opportunity of a lifetime. ENFJs don't just lead groups, they create entire movements with taglines and matching t-shirts. Their idea of subtle influence, completely restructuring your life goals during what you thought was just casual coffee conversation. You mentioned you like cats. Have you considered becoming a revolutionary leader against the machines? 7. INFP, the Mediator. INFPs in movies are the characters who find profound meaning in a leaf falling while everyone else is running from explosions. Amélie Poulain from Amélie doesn't just return a box of childhood treasures. She orchestrates an entire magical quest about it, complete with the garden gnome travel photography. INFPs don't have hobbies, they have deeply meaningful personal quests. Luna Lovegood from the Harry Potter series doesn't just see invisible creatures, she accepts their existence with such serene certainty that you start questioning your own reality. The Nargles are particularly bad this year becomes less ridiculous and more, wait, should I be worried about Nargles? INFP's inner worlds are so rich that external apocalypses are merely aesthetic inconveniences. Yes, the world is ending, but have you noticed how beautifully the light reflects off the asteroid? 8. ENFP, the champion. ENFPs in film are those characters who start revolutions before lunchtime because it seemed like a fun Tuesday activity. Willy Wonka from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory doesn't just make chocolate, he creates an entire psychedelic world where physics is optional and every corner hides a moral lesson disguised as candy. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination is the ENFP motto that somehow works despite setting off every stranger danger alarm. Phoebe Buffay from Friends doesn't just perform music, she sings about deceased felines with such conviction that you're suddenly considering the spiritual implications of Smelly Cat. ENFPs don't follow social scripts, they improvise entire alternative realities where running through fountains in wedding dresses is a valid response to emotional distress. Their idea of a plan? Let's see what happens if I do this completely unexpected thing and then emotionally process it later or never. 9. ISTJ, the inspector. ISTJs in film are those characters who follow rules so diligently that even the rules feel intimidated. Agent Smith from The Matrix doesn't just enforce the system, he is the system, perfectly pressed suit included. Vacation days? What are those? Probably something humans invented to be inefficient. Captain America from the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't just uphold American values, he embodies them so thoroughly that apple pies salute him. ISTJs don't adapt to chaos. They organize it into submission with color-coded folders and stern disapproval. Their idea of rebellion is returning a library book one day early. The procedure clearly states is their version of sweet nothings whispered at romantic moments. If an ISTJ says, "We might have a situation," it's already time to evacuate the continent. 10. ESTJ, the executive. ESTJs in film are those characters who would schedule the apocalypse and expect it to arrive on time with proper documentation. Professor Minerva McGonagall from the Harry Potter series doesn't just teach transfiguration, she runs Hogwarts with such efficiency that even the moving staircases think twice before changing direction when she's late for a meeting. 5 points from Gryffindor isn't just a punishment, it's a management philosophy. Judge Judy from Judge Judy doesn't preside over a courtroom. She rules a kingdom where is treason and excuses go to die. ESTJs don't have patience for your creative interpretation of deadlines or rules. Their idea of flexibility, allowing 5 seconds of silence after asking any questions before proceeding exactly as planned. If an ESTJ tells you, "We need to talk," Prepare your PowerPoint defense strategy immediately. 11. ISFJ, the Defender. ISFJs in film are those characters who quietly keep the world from imploding while everyone else is busy having character arcs. Samwise Gamgee from the Lord of the Rings trilogy doesn't just help Frodo reach Mordor, he carries him up a volcano while probably worrying if he packed enough lembas bread and wondering if the Shire's garden competition will accept late entries. ISFJs don't need recognition. They just need to know everyone has had second breakfast. Mrs. Weasley from the Harry Potter series doesn't just knit sweaters. She creates wearable fortresses of love that somehow protect against dark magic through the sheer power of maternal concern. ISFJ's idea of self-care is making sure everyone else is taken care of first, then maybe having a cup of tea if there's time before the next crisis. Their battle cry isn't heard because they're too busy making sure everyone has proper armour and healthy snacks before the fight. 12. ESFJ, the Consul. ESFJs in film are those characters who organise your life with such enthusiasm that resistance becomes impolite. Monica Geller from Friends doesn't just clean an apartment. She establishes a regime where dust particles request political asylum in other homes. Her towel categories have subcategories, and yes, there will be a test later. Effie Trinket from The Hunger Games doesn't just announce names, she maintains etiquette during the literal lottery of death. Manners isn't just a reminder, it's a worldview that survives even societal collapse. ESFJs don't just host parties, they create experiences so meticulously planned that spontaneity needs to make an appointment first. Their nightmare scenario: someone saying, "Let's just wing it." Their response to crisis: "This is terrible, has everyone had enough canapes?" 13. ISTP, the Virtuoso. ISTPs in film are those characters who fix spacecraft with chewing gum while everyone else is writing farewell messages. Han Solo from the Star Wars saga doesn't need the Force. He needs a wrench and 10 minutes alone with the hyperdrive. Never tell me the odds isn't bravado. It's an ISTP genuinely uninterested in statistical improbabilities when there's tinkering to be done. John Wick from the John Wick franchise doesn't waste words or bullets. Why use many kill when few kill do trick? ISTPs don't follow instruction manuals. They glance at them dismissively before creating something better. Their idea of emotional processing? Silently dismantling and rebuilding an engine while occasionally grunting meaningfully. In an apocalypse, the ISTP has already converted the toaster and houseplants into a functioning communications device before the news broadcast ends. 14. ESTP, the Entrepreneur. ESTPs in film are those characters who treat life-threatening situations like theme park rides with optional safety features. Indiana Jones from the Indiana Jones series doesn't make plans. He makes split-second decisions that somehow work out despite routinely antagonizing everyone from Nazis to supernatural entities. His retirement plan is probably figure it out when I get there or die spectacularly trying. James Bond from the 007 films doesn't just complete missions, he does so with such stylish improvisation that MI6's insurance premiums are higher than the national defence budget. ESTPs don't avoid risks, they invite them over for drinks and then dare them to get crazy. Their idea of careful consideration is the 3 seconds of freefall before pulling the parachute cord. "I'll handle it" from an ESTP translates to "watch me turn this disaster into an even bigger but impressively entertaining disaster." 15. ISFP, the Adventurer. ISFPs in film are those characters whose aesthetic choices somehow become central to the plot. Captain Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean doesn't just captain a ship, he wobbles charismatically across the deck in eyeliner so perfect it survives sea battles. His moral compass doesn't point north, it points to whatever feels right at this exact moment, mate. Mia Wallace from Pulp Fiction doesn't just dance. She creates an iconic cinematic moment that launched 1,000 Halloween costumes. ISFPs don't just have values, they have vibes that somehow save the day. Their battle strategy: looking fabulous while following my heart. In a group discussion, the ISFP says nothing for 40 minutes, then delivers one line so profound or beautifully odd that everyone needs a moment of silence to recover. 16. ESFP, the entertainer. ESFPs in film are those characters who treat life or death situations as perfect opportunities for one-liners and dance breaks. Deadpool from the Deadpool films doesn't just break the fourth wall, he renovates it, adds mood lighting and invites the audience over for chimichangas. Crisis management, more like crisis entertainment. Elle Woods from Legally Blonde doesn't just attend Harvard Law, she revolutionises it with optimism, pink accessories and the bend and snap technique, which has a 98% success rate in court and dating. ESFPs don't just live life, they perform it for an audience that may or may not exist. Their solution to tension, inappropriate humour or spontaneous musical numbers. This is serious. To an ESFP sounds like, this needs more pizzazz. Their ideal apocalypse includes perfect lighting and a killer soundtrack. And there you have it, folks. Hollywood's finest sorted into their personality boxes. Remember, whether you're an INTJ plotting world domination or an ESFP turning life into a musical, there's a character out there who shares your special brand of weirdness. Next time you watch a film, try typing the characters. It's more fun than actually paying attention to the plot. If you enjoyed this personality-packed adventure, smash that like button harder than an ESTP smashes social norms, subscribe faster than an ISTJ files their taxes, and comment your favourite character types below. This is MBTI Spectrum, where we turn personality theory into entertainment more addictive than whatever an ENTP is currently debating. Until next time, stay typey, my friends.